Warning, the following podcast contains spoilers, so if you don't want to know, the calls are coming from inside the house. Oh, crap. There's more than one movie with that spoiler in it. Well, shoot. Well, to be honest, let's be serious. I know of two off the top of my head, and one's way better than the other. And this is the Christmas episode, so we're going with that one, the Christmas-themed one. So if you don't want to know, the calls are coming from inside the house. Stop listening now. Also, John Staxon, still a terrible police officer.
The International House of Horror.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the International House of Horror podcast. I'm your host, Rocco, aka the Mad Pancaker, and as always, for now, until we replace him with Scary Pod, is my co-host, Scary Perry. How you doing over there, Scary Perry? After all,
You'll never replace me.
yeah, that remains to be seen, but been having some technical issues trying to get this done, and not to mention just delays in general. Life happens, as they say, so...
I mean, my mustache has gone under intense pain.
Yes, so had a relapse on the mustache, but another mustache surgery and, other personal things going on, so our podcast has been delayed quite some time. So, in fact, this is going to be our Christmas episode in April. It looks like it's going to come out. So,
Christmas. I love Christmas.
so we're a little delayed here, but this episode might be a long one. I got a lot to say about this movie coming up, so let's dive right into our hotcakes, because I got a lot of hotcakes to talk about, too. So, first off, as always, before we dive into our hotcakes, you can follow us on social media. I'm the Mad Pancaker on Facebook, Instagram, at the Mad Pancaker on Twitter, and you can subscribe to our Patreon. Right now, we don't have a whole lot going on with the Patreon. It's just kind of a fundraiser effort to contribute to our funds to buy and upgrade better equipment so our podcast doesn't sound shitty anymore. You can find our Patreon at the Mad Pancaker, hold on, I'm screwing this up. Patreon.com/the Mad Pancaker. And where can people find you on social media, Perry? If you have any places you want to be known as Scary Perry, or are you incognito right now?
OnlyFans.
All right, well,
It's secret to get to.
Okay.
You have to go through the Cuban pipeline to get to it.
Okay. All right, on to our hotcakes. So I've plugged everything. So you want me to go first there, Scary Perry?
Yeah, you go.
All right. First off, so I got in, I ordered these, and these are from Arrow Video. And we know from before Arrow Video puts out fine products. So I have the Giallo Essentials collections. I have the, what's it called? The yellow volume and the red volume. I don't know if they call them volumes, but so I think the red one was the first one that came out. In this, it's a 3-pack of essentially Giallos that they've already released, and they just package them together as a volume, but I don't own any of these, so they're nice ones to pick up and add to the collection. And this one right here, we have in the yellow one. No, hold on. This is the red one. This is the red volume. So the first film it's got is The Possessed, which is a little bit more of a proto-Giallo. I've actually watched it. It was pretty good. It's a little artsy, too, like kind of almost has an art film feel to it, but it was very interesting. It's kind of weird. It makes you think a little bit, so...
Let me see the cover.
Oh, so it's in black and white? Sure, I can pull it out here. I can tell you a little bit. So this is... I'm not sure what the original cover... the original box art has the... And that's another thing with Arrow. They have the reversible sleeves with a lot of these with the original. So in Italy, it's known as La Donna del Lago, or The Lady of the Lake in English. But that title doesn't really sell movies here. So in English, it's The Possessed. Who directed this? Can I find it here real quick? I don't want to waste a whole lot of time here.
It's all Dario Argento.
What?
It's all...
No, it's not Dario Argento. This film predates... co-directed by Luigi Bassani. Who else directed it then? That's all it says. So So the next film in this is the another Luigi Bassani film. So he actually, I'm pretty sure he gets full credit for directing this one, starring Franco Nero, The Fifth Chord.
Fifth Chord.
So another
To
fun.
me, that looks artsy more than the other one.
Well, this one, the first one was black and white, so it definitely has like an art feel to it. But a lot of these films have these giallos, which I like about them, have like sort of an artistic visual aspect to them. This one wasn't too bad. It wasn't as good as I expected it to be, considering I heard a lot about this one, but it's still pretty solid. If I had to give a rating to The Possessed, I'd probably say maybe around 4 pancakes, because I did really like the artistic feel of it. It's more stunningly visual. The guy also kind of has like a fever dream thing going on, where he's got a fever and you don't know what's real and what's not real. It's kind of an interesting concept when he's dreaming and when he's not dreaming. This one might be more like a 3.5 range. But I mean, if you like your J&B sightings, which is a common theme for J&B Scotch, always seems to show up in giallos. This one, it's everywhere in The Fifth Chord. Like the product placement, they must have like really upped the J&B advertising product placement there. So then the third one, I haven't watched this one yet, is the Pajama Girl case, I believe is how it's pronounced.
The Pajama.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's pronounced the Pajama Girl case. I forget what the original, I guess I can just open it up and look at here. The Italian title being La Ragazza dal Pajama Giallo, which would be, I'm not sure what the Ragazza part translates into, but I know the third part, well, Giallo is yellow in Italy. So, and that's where the genre gets its title from, is from the old yellow paperbacks, mystery murder books sold over there. So it's like the case of the yellow pajama.
Looks interesting.
I'm looking forward to watching who directed this one. It's also supposed to be inspired by a real life story. Co-starring, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not seeing who directed it real quick, but I don't feel like reading through all the text because, like I said, I got a lot of hotcakes to go through. So, and let me cover the yellow section real quick. So, in the yellow collection of Giallo Essentials from Arrow Video, so first up we have What Have They Done to Your Daughters? This sort of pseudo-sequel to What Have You Done to Solange, which I have seen and is another very interesting giallo. It's really weird. This one also deals with a really weird, touchy subject. It's about this like prostitution ring of schoolgirls, so a little risque and underage.
Okay.
And I don't know if the actresses are actually underage, but there's definitely some nudity going on in this. And I made the mistake of watching the deleted scenes. Let me tell you, so it actually works better in the film. Because they have like recordings of the sessions with the girls and the Johns. But apparently they also filmed some of it, and it's full on hardcore. I don't I know you like the dick over there, but it's got the dick sucking. Like I'm like, what the fuck is this doing on a special feature of deleted scenes? I would have just left this lost to the not the internet, but lost to time and just like left this out of here. You know what I mean? So it was entertaining though. It's a fun romp. I'm not talking about the deleted hardcore scenes, but I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? And so this is by Massimo Dallamano.
Samoa.
If I said that right. So next up, got a good old film by Sergio Martino in the yellow collection, Torso, which I know me, you, and J Bones watched on I think Amazon Prime at the time. So, but now I picked it up and I have it in the collection.
Question is, did I fall asleep?
You probably did. It was the one with the scarves, the handkerchiefs, as the clues to the murder.
Is there
the ascots, I should say. I'm not sure if there is a piano. So she's being strangled by the scarf on the cover, if you remember that part.
I just had it's like a big
these 3 or 4. Yeah, the 3 or 4 girls go up to this house. Yeah, they go up to this big house. Like they have a person deliver groceries and shit to them.
Yeah, I think I remember.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal and pretty violent. Torso probably 3.5 to 4, depending on. I do like Sergio Martino's work. I'd have to rewatch this one to see if it's worth being called a 4. I think it's definitely a solid giallo entry. It's probably a 3.5.
My attention. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's got an interesting mystery to it too. So
I'd have to rewatch.
For What Have You Done to Your Daughters, I would have to say, just from a pure ridiculous standpoint, it probably is at least a 3. And then, man, these titles just keep getting even better. So this one stars Edwidge Fenech. I butchered that name. Filmed by Andrea Bianchi, Strip Nude for Your Killer. And I don't think I've watched this one yet.
Is this like the no-no?
Yeah, I think this one's the no-no pack. Well,
I mean, I saw the one.
with these giallos, you have to remember Italy. They aren't quite like the United States. They're a lot more open to sexuality and everything, and especially with nudity in films, they don't seem to care about it as much. But don't believe I've watched that one yet. Hold on, maybe I have. Maybe this is one I've watched and now I just own it. Hold on, let me read the description real quick. As the 1970s wore on, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, on to the actual plot. A spat of highly sexualized murders is rocking a prestigious Milanese fashion house. Ambitious photographer Maja and her on and off boyfriend, love rat Carlo, team up to crack the case, but with motorcycle helmet wearing killer clearing bearing a grudge. How about clearly bearing a grudge? Typo on the back of the box. It has clearing bearing a grudge instead of clearly.
Lost in translation.
Against the agency's employees, it's surely only a matter of time before they too end up feeling the forces wrath. This sounds familiar, but I might be getting it confused with it's either Death Walks on High Heels or Death Walks at Midnight, one of the two. I might be getting it confused with that. Yeah, I don't think this is the same. Well, there's also... I might be getting it confused with the forbidden photos of a lady above the forbidden photos of a lady above suspicion too. That's the problem with some of these giallo titles. They all sound very similar. A lot of them blend in with each other, and it's hard to tell what the movie's about just by going by the title. So that's the first set of hotcakes I got. Let's swing it back to you, Perry, for some hotcakes.
Hotcakes. All right.
You got anything you watched recently?
Yeah. Well,
keep in mind, we do have another episode coming up that you may want to save at least one or two things for. I mean, you might watch some things in between then, but just in case. I don't want you to shoot your load right now.
I got one.
All right.
So I saw the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. Now, coming from a guy that's seen maybe one or two.
You only need to see the first two, truly.
And
3 and 4 are very campy.
Bits and pieces of remakes.
I heard good things about the first remake. The sequels to it, Continue.
The story is kind of long. But, like, as far as a slasher film, there's some really cool death scenes in it.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. And there's, like, I don't think the acting was horrible. I'd put it probably somewhere in the 2.5, 3 range.
Yeah, it seems kind of almost like a Halloween Kills with like just the dumb, ridiculous gore scenes.
It can be fun.
It can be
a fun watch.
Yeah,
it's not like something.
I've heard other people I've listened to very disappointed with it, and that's the reason why I watch reviews and spoilers for it, because I really don't care about this movie. I like the franchise. Don't get me wrong, but it's also like, oh my god, can we stop making these dumb movies because most of them are just bad? So
yeah, I don't know why they made this, but so. Enjoy. It was entertaining to watch for the
right. So I'm sure I'll get around to it eventually because maybe we'll review it at some time too. But all right, so swing back around to me for some more hotcakes on this end. So I watched Howling 1 in a previous hotcake. I mentioned that I picked it up on. I think in the previous one I mentioned I picked it up from Shout, their copy of the Howling. So I watched that. It was okay. It wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. To be fair, I started watching half of it and kind of started falling asleep. Not because it was dull, just because I was tired. And whenever that happens, I'm always trying to remember what the fuck happened in the first half of this movie when I pick it up the second day and I'm actually into it. But because I know it always gets compared to an American Werewolf in London. And the transformation scenes, I think they hold up pretty well compared to that. But I think the better movie is probably American Werewolf in London. I still had fun with it. It really falls in the 3.5 to 4 range, just because it's not quite as good as American Werewolf in London. It's still fun. The transformation scenes are good. It's got a decent plot to it. There's a lot of werewolf violence and werewolf killing, so that's always fun. Go along with that though, because I finally watched Howling 1, so I could. Not that you really have to watch any of these in order, but I finally got around to watching. That was my justification. I'm I can't watch all these stupid Howling sequels that are on all these streaming services. The surfaces? Surface.
You right?
Try it again. Services. Cervexes? No, services.
Whoa. Okay.
So
you're watching too much of that.
Yeah, I'm watching too much of what have you done to my daughters over there. Anyways, now, if you know anything about Howling 2, it does star Christopher Lee. And it also stars Sybil Danning. Now, Christopher Lee has said that the movie was just hot garbage from his experience with it. So I was very interested to go into this. And the plot's all over the place. The plot's a bit ridiculous, but it's another just schlocky, ridiculous fun fest. Oh, man. Sybil Danning just gets topless like every fucking 2 seconds in this film, I feel.
Well, you got to throw it.
Well, Sybil Danning. I'm pretty sure Sybil Danning was a Playboy Playmate, right? I know she's a big deal. I know she's appeared in a lot of stuff. I don't know if she was an outright porn star, but
the name doesn't ring a bell to me, but maybe the body. I don't know.
But oh man, the ending credits scene is ridiculous. But the sex scenes also get really weird in it because they're like part werewolf, so they're like kind of transforming as they're having sex. So like they got all bits of fur glued to them and shit. But there's this one scene where Sybil Danning just rips her top open and exposes her breasts. And this is one of those credit scenes where they replay scenes from the movie. Every other scene is just cuts to her ripping over her top during the credits. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. So, just because of how ridiculous fun it is, it's probably a four pancake film. I know it's trash. It's not like the best script. The other thing with it is, if you know your history behind it, it was one of those scripts that was written as something else and then just bought and then slapped the Howling logo on it. It was actually, you could clearly tell it was originally supposed to be a vampire story and not a werewolf story. But I had a lot of fun with both those films, 1 and 2. Look forward to me talking about the third one in next episode's Hotcakes, because I have watched the third one, but this script was already written, so you'll have to wait till the next episode to hear me talk about Howling 3: The Marsupials, which is also a bit ridiculous. All right, back to you, Perry. Got some more hotcakes for me? Hotcakes. Go on down to Mickey D's, pick up some hotcakes. No? You're all done? I mean, this is our Christmas episode. This is the season of giving. Did you get any good gifts lately?
Oh. Well, I did. My awesome friend across from me, the Matt Pancaker.
All right.
Christmas, he got me. This is exciting. He had one before.
Mm-hmm.
I seen it, and we talked about it.
He was a bit jelly.
I was jelly. But he got me an authentic silver shamrock mask.
Now, I think Connell Cochran actually gave you that mask.
Well,
and he said, make sure he wears it at the big giveaway this time.
And this October, I am going to be all set in front of my TV with the mask on. And I can't wait. But this mask is awesome. It even has the silver shamrock button thing on it. Whatever that thing does, it's just like a button. I was going to try to mess with it, but it was making some weird noises, so I didn't try it. But anyways...
You may want to fiddle around with that a little bit, just a little bit, You never know. Misfire might be good for your health.
Well, maybe when I get home later. But I want to thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome.
It's an awesome gift.
All right. So
did you get anything?
I did. So some guy... I think it was Scary Pod. Your brother always gets me the best gifts. Just telling you. When he gets out of the sane asylum. I mean, the school. Wink, wink. Got me, I forget what the exact title is. I'm not going to run upstairs and grab it. But the Teenage Slasher book. Is that that's the full title?
Okay,
I thought I might be missing a word in there. But details the history of the slasher genre from its roots back in the day, and then all the way up through to the present. So it looks very interesting. I've only read the introduction so far, ready to dive into chapter 1, talking about early French films, and then leads up to Psycho is like the end of that chapter, I think, from what I was looking at. So I'm looking forward to it. Looks pretty good so far. So
sweet.
And on another note, so fun little project that I kickstarted recently. Recently, it's actually been a while. This would have been more relevant back then. I don't know if there's still doing pre-orders for it or not, but again, not a plug. God, I wish I was getting paid to plug this shit, that help us make this podcast less low budget. Oh man, did I forget to say the catchphrase at the beginning? A low budget podcast for low budget horror movies? I think I did.
You might have to do that sometime.
Hello, welcome to the International House of Horror podcast, a low budget podcast for low budget horror movies. There, I got it in.
Cut and paste.
See what happens when we're off for a while. We gotta shake out the. We gotta shake it out, you know.
Shake it like a Polaroid. Oh,
but so I kickstarted. I believe officially it's called Atmosphere. But in the States and here in America, it was called Nightmare. It was an old VHS board game. I think I have a Wayne's World VHS board game that me and Perry played one time.
I don't want to ever play that game again.
Oh, I think we need to dig that out again.
No.
But it's similar to that. You put in the videotape, and as you're playing, the is he called the Gatekeeper? He might be called the Gatekeeper. I think he is called the Gatekeeper. But he pops up and he'll talk to you, and he'll be like. So, like, the youngest person is, like, the maggots. So, and he'll be like, maggots, you get to do this. Or you go straight to the pit or something, you know, shit like that. I remember playing as a kid at my grandfather's. My uncle had it, and he had it at his house, and me and my cousins played it. It was a lot of fun back in the day. I'm looking forward to that. So, it's gearing up towards production, so I don't know when exactly it's going to ship, but I'm looking forward to that. And if you could get your hands on even an old copy or the newer copy coming out soon, I'd recommend it.
Also, on that note,
Sure.
I kickstarted a horror movie themed board game.
Oh boy.
So, sorry, spoiler, it's not what we're reviewing today, but the game is Silent Night, Deadly Night, the game.
Ooh.
This game looks like it's got a lot going on, a very loud game board, a lot of crazy accessories. I think this is going to be some kind of like fun to play with more than like a few people. And
I think the one side's also a drinking game, right? You can turn it into a drinking
there's-
game when you land on certain spots.
yes.
Santa's watching, Santa's waiting. I don't know the other lyrics.
You get the add-ons and shot glasses, and that's what that's for. But yeah, this game looks great. So I'm excited for this. I think they're just starting production with it, maybe.
Yeah. I think they're also doing a My Bloody Valentine one too, but
yeah,
I think I just saw that. All right, so my last hotcake, which is actually a series of multiple hotcakes, because Shout Factory back in October had their Shocktober sale, so I picked up some stuff from them while I was while that was going on. Oh, what did I buy me? I bought me a ton of stuff. So first off, we got The Burning, which is 19. What year was this? It's an 80s slasher film. I mean, now it was produced by a certain people that we don't talk about anymore. The Weinsteins. I mean, but
you like wine?
So this one's very famous for some of its gore scenes. So it's a fun little romp. It's got some slow parts to it, but it's and the kills could be more numerous. Like there's like I've watched it on before. I picked it up during the sale to have a copy for my own. That's why it's not open, because I watched it on Amazon Prime. So this film actually has one of my celebrity man asses that I never wanted to see but did in it. So I don't know. You might have to come over. I tried tossing it. I failed. But I recommend The Burning. Like I said, there's like one main big gore set piece that kind of defines it.
This cover looks pretty dang sweet.
Yeah, it's like kind of the iconic scene with the pruning shears when he goes on his rampage. But for some more of my pickups from the sale, so we have Night of the Comet. It was the last thing on Earth they ever expected. So this is it's maybe a little more sci-fi-ish, but there's kind of sort of zombies in it. There's a knockoff parody of Girls Just Want to Have Fun in it, so I got a whole joke about knockoff Cyndi Lauper in it whenever we get around to reviewing this thing. One of the big stars in it is probably Kelly Maroney. And we talked about her the other day. I think on Facebook we were having this discussion about because I think you were talking about Chopping Mall. I'm like, name another movie starring Kelly Maroney without using Google or anything. You tried, didn't quite get there, but this would be an acceptable answer, Night of the Comet. But a fun little thing, again, it's still in the package, but I did watch this on Prime or Tubi or whatever. You know what? I think I actually watched this one on YouTube, like legitimate YouTube. Yeah, I won the lottery when I watched this on YouTube because you know how YouTube is like free with ads? No ads in it. I won the freaking lottery when I watched this on
Nice.
YouTube. It was amazing. It wasn't like, oh, YouTube. No, it was legitimately through YouTube services. It wasn't like, you know, some bootleg somebody uploaded to YouTube that you get a lot. But it's a fun time. I really enjoy it. Very fun film. I wish there was a little more of like the monsters going on. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of them, but still okay. In fact, this one probably breaks into the 4 category easily. It's plus I like Kelly Maroney ever since I've seen her and stuff. She's very fun. Oh, which one do I want to talk about next? So, all right. So another one, bit of a cult classic that I've heard a lot about. The Funhouse, directed by Tobe Hooper. It's this kind of sort of slasher. I guess I call it a slasher, but the guy's kind of like a monster in it. Let's see. I'm trying to see who we got in here. I forget who did the special effects, but it's got good effects work. The monster looks pretty cool. Kevin Conway's in it, and he plays 3 roles. Rick Baker. Rick Baker did the effects for the monster guy. But it's a bit on the slow side. Like, I'm not quite sure why people hype this up as much as because it is a bit slower. The monster effects are very good. Rick Baker does a good job there. But it takes kind of forever to get to where it's going. But it's a fun little film, but it's not as, like, people really hype this one up as, like, this big cult classic that I was looking forward to. Not quite as good as I was hoping, but still a fun time. Like I said, if it's a bit on the slow side, you know, that's not quite your taste. So up next, got a couple of steel books to talk about. So we got the classic My Bloody Valentine, the original. Although I found out our favorite actor is in the remake, My Bloody Valentine 3D, I believe. Tom Atkins. So now I'm like, oh man, I might have to give the remake a watch. I heard it's a dumb fun remake, but My Bloody Valentine, very fun. Fortunately, I wanted to review this for, you know, February, but our schedule got all screwed up, so save it for next year. But very good film. Probably in the 3.5 to 4-ish range, depending. We got Motel Hell, and this is one that I remember very fondly from my childhood. I always remember being on a VHS tape and catching the tail end, the climactic ending of it, trying to get to whatever was on the tape afterwards, which doesn't quite do this film justice because it's pretty good in its own right. And that's another one of those childhood mysteries. Like, I'm trying to remember, and the tape could be long gone. I've actually started going through some of my old VHS tapes, but what was on the tape after Motel Hell? That mystery may remain unsolved, but Motel Hell...
It might be the Power Rangers movie.
No, it's not the Power Rangers movie. But it's a very good film. It's fun. It's campy. It's got Cliff from Cheers, John Ratzenberger. He plays a bit role in it.
Oh.
There's a lot of people in this. Nancy Parsons from Porky's. Roy Calhoun, directed by Kevin Connor. But yeah, overall, fun little film. Probably falls in that 4 range, somewhere around there. I saved the best for last, so we got Robert Englund, as the box says, was Freddy. And it kind of even looks like Freddy on the box. Now he's the Phantom of the Opera, the motion picture, an all-new nightmare. This movie is phenomenal. It is amazing. It's got beautiful set pieces. Oh man, Robert Englund just chews the fucking scenery in every scene he's in. He's just fucking great in it.
Is this based on the Phantom?
Yes, it's the Phantom of the Opera. That's just you know.
Is it a musical?
There's music in it. I don't think it's quite a musical if I remember correctly. But there's music in it. There's some singing in it. But
seems very interesting.
And it's weird because it starts out in the present day, but then it like flashes back to the past. I was kind of hoping that there'd be a little bit more going on in the present day, but then as I'm watching, I realized, oh, this movie's pretty much going to take place in the past, in the flashback, and then like it's butt-ended by the set piece of the present day. It's bookended by the present day segments. Wish there was a little more stuff going on in the 80s. Like with the Phantom of the Opera stuff, but I still think it ties it all well together. And like I said, very impressed. Like just the visuals of it. Robert Englund's acting is phenomenal. The rest of the cast is pretty good. I really liked it. I think this is easily 4.5 pancakes. Probably actually 5 pancakes. Maybe not with syrup, but definitely 5 pancakes. And I think that's all I have. Those are all my Shocktober Shout Factory / Scream Factory pickups. Got any more hotcakes before we dive into today's Christmas special?
Fresh out. Maybe next time.
Alrighty, so today's feature film that we're going to be reviewing is the 1980. I'm surprised it's 1980. It definitely has a 70s feel to it. But then again, it was, released 1980, so it was probably filmed in the late 70s. The 1980 film Christmas Evil. This was directed and written by Lewis Jackson, and it stars, I really don't recognize most of these people, but there is some lineage here going on with some of them. So it stars Brandon Maggart, Jeffrey DeMunn, however you pronounce that, and Diane Hall. Now, the version I watched on Tubi came in at 94 minutes. There's supposed to be an uncut version that runs 100 minutes that has a little more of the gore and stuff in it, I'm guessing.
I was reading about that.
Yeah, so I'm kind of disappointed.
Them as deleted scenes. So
Yeah, but they got it added, they got added back in. Like I said, it's the uncut version, but unfortunately I wasn't able to watch that one. I'm sure I'd like to see those scenes at some point, but this is still fairly entertaining without them.
8 minutes.
Yeah. Got anything to add in before we dive into the plot here? Or you want to save it as we go along?
Let me see real quick. I think I will save it.
Save it for later?
Yeah.
All right.
Saving it for SeaWorld.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Save it for SeaWorld. We open on Christmas Eve 1947 with a house establishing shot. There's the snow and everything. So narrator is reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and inside 2 boys and a mom are sitting on the steps watching Santa come down the chimney. And I notice here that the table is laid out with milk and bread and butter and soap and a wash bowl with a towel. Now,
it's going to be a dirty going down.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, though, I'm like, all you inconsiderate assholes out there, you've just been leaving out milk and cookies for Santa. The guy needs to wash his hands. He doesn't want to be spreading germs and shit, when he goes to the next house. You inconsiderate bastards. You better start leaving out some, little pan with water and soap for Santa.
The hand sanitizer now.
Yeah, just throw out some hand sanitizer. There are no cookies, though. That's kind of a bummer. I'm like, bread? Who the fuck wants bread? Santa wants those. Maybe Santa gets tired of cookies. Maybe he's watching his diet, trying to avoid those sugars. But then they also got the butter. Yeah, so maybe it's parquet.
Some kind of folio, yeah.
So Santa's putting the presents under the trees, fills the stockings. The one kid on the steps laughs. And Santa looks, and he just puts his finger on his nose and closes one nostril with it and just winks at the kid. Maybe he's getting ready to shoot up some crack, watch this crazy movie. So then he shoots back up the chimney. I'm just like, how did he do that? Just whoosh, like this is just some normal guy, and he somehow shoots up this chimney. If you say so. Also, you hear some reindeer and sleigh noises as he takes off from the roof. So I'm just like, it would be funny if this was just some random guy and just shows up, at this place and just comes in, which this kind of actually happens later on. Not to spoil things too early, but so upstairs in the bedroom, the older brother, Harry, he thinks it was Santa Claus, but the younger brother, Phil, but they call him Philly. I'm just like, what the fuck? Who the hell? Yeah, whose nickname for a kid named Phil or Philip is Philly?
He's like,
yeah, he's just like, and he tells him it was his dad. It was Daddy, but Harry doesn't believe him. So Harry sneaks back downstairs, and you hear the mom laughing. And I like the lighting in the hallway here, and it may just be the hue from the red carpet, though, but it gives some strong red hue to the lighting, kind of almost like some Suspiria vibes going on. So you see Santa, he's crouched down, fondling Mommy's legs, and he's going in for some carpet munching action. So I'm like, Santa's got a present for her. Hey-o. Somebody get the Jackson 5 on the phone. I think I got their newest hit. I call it, I Saw Mommy Being Eaten Out by Santa Claus.
You wrote that?
Yeah, I wrote that down in the notes. That's what we call comedy gold, even if it's cringy. Then again, if this actually was the basis for that song, only in reverse, they cleaned it up kissing Santa Claus, I can see why Michael Jackson might have had some problems, if he was in the place of young Harry here and saw Mommy and Santa. Just saying is all. Then we get a stinger here. hold up the Sting Tempo magazine.
There's a magazine.
And this stinger kind of reminds me of the Creep Show stinger that they use in that, the. So Harry, he runs upstairs as the music ramps up, and I like the music in this. It's got some good touch. It blends in the Christmas music properly, and then has its own little score going on. So he runs upstairs. He goes to a room, and he sees a snow globe in the foreground, and he turns on the lights, and the music stops. I like the shot of him with the snow globe in the foreground, and him in the background turn on the lights. He picks up the snow globe and is crying, and he smashes the snow globe on the ground. And this is interspliced with more hot Santa going down action. He's going to town on that for JJ. So Harry picks up a piece of the glass from the snow globe.
He's getting some of that butter.
And cuts his hand with it. And you see blood starts dripping on the house that was in the snow globe. And we fade to red, and we get the credits card with Edward R. Pressman Productions, and the title card says, "You better watch out." And I'm like, God, I was watching Christmas Evil. Perry, did you pull a bait and switch on me again, just like last time with Blood Rage and Slasher?
I did.
No, that's another title for this that it gets thrown around as.
Rock.
Yes.
Or Matt Pancake.
Sure.
Whatever your name is.
Yeah.
Fix that. Cut that. Matt Pancake, before we move on,
Yes.
let me ask you a question.
All right.
When you were younger,
Yes.
would you cut yourself if you found out that Santa Claus wasn't real?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite normal activity. But, Harry just really likes Santa and he really likes Christmas, as we'll go on to find out. Oh, so, and as a brief mention, though, before we dive too far into this, so on another podcast that my brother recommended to me, their description on their review of this movie for that episode was the Lawrence of Arabia of Christmas slasher films, ? Or Christmas horror films, ? And I think that's an interesting comparison here, but we'll have more to say on that as it goes along. So during the title cards here, we got some Christmas instrumentals playing. We cut to the present, and Harry, he's in bed in Santa pajamas and a hat. So he's got a little bit of a obsession with Christmas here.
All right.
So,
all right.
Sure.
All right. So, he cuts himself. He's obsessed with Santa. But wouldn't you think that would turn him off of Santa and he'd go somewhere else?
Yeah, I guess he just has this big faith in the real life spirit of Christmas.
Every time he thinks of Christmas, he thinks about his dad eating out his mother.
I mean, maybe he just thinks of Santa eating out his mother. Maybe he thinks like, oh, Santa was doing a good deed for Mom. Mom hasn't been eating out in a while. So, I guess. He's even got this fancy Santa carousel alarm clock and other Santa paraphernalia and decor around his apartment. I'm like, nope, nothing wrong with this guy mentally. So,
not at all.
And he puts on a Christmas record, and it's a Christmas Wonderland. And he's doing his morning calisthenics here, doing his squats and everything. And the calendar he's got written down, it's 55 days until Christmas. I'm like, geez, I know the Christmas season keeps starting earlier and earlier, but that's a bit ridiculous. I mean, that puts us in October, right? Do the math. It might be early November. All right, 25 days, that'd be 30. It might be November 1st.
250.
It could actually be Halloween,
66%.
depending on how you count it.
All right, anyways, Karen.
All right, moving on. He bows before some girl's dolls as he's dancing. I'm like, okay, can we just lock this guy up right now? Yeah. And then he's shaving, and he does the big old shaving cream beard, and he chuckles, and he cuts himself shaving, and he flashes back to the Santa carpet munching action.
Okay, so then you should be turned off. Or is he having these weird things?
It's a weird movie. I will admit that this is a weird movie. Then he's in front of a mirror with a pillow and red fabric to imitate a Santa belly. And he starts saying, ho, ho, ha. I'm just like, no. It's ho, 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 not ha, ha, ha. Geez, and you call yourself a fan of Santa? And then he does this like weird point at the mirror. It's just like completely random.
Here's looking at you, kid.
I think he might even wink too. I can't remember. So we get some ominous music, and we cut to Harry on the roof with binoculars.
Okay. So right when this happens, before we see anything, it's very creepy now. It's already getting more creepy. And I wrote down, just, this guy is a creeper extraordinaire.
Oh, he's something, all right.
All right.
So he's looking at the neighborhood kids. And as I point, I'm like, okay, can we definitely call the police on this guy right now? So he's watching to see if the kids are being good and doing their chores, etc., or if they're being naughty, like Moss Garcia, who is cutting out women from Penthouse Magazine. This is my kind of kid, Penthouse Magazine, Also, because, it's a Penthouse Magazine, we definitely have our first titties.
Oh, we got a cannoli from me, Aaron.
Also, what kind of name is Moss?
I don't know.
Are you going to name your first kid Moss?
Garcia, that's like,
Yeah, it's a bit Hispanic, the last name. But Moss? Like, literally, like the shit that grows on trees and stuff? I'm like, okay, maybe you can cut this kid a little bit of slack, Harry. I mean, he got the shit end of the stick on drawing names in the name department. And then we cue this really intense music as Harry runs away. There's a lot of early intense, like, horror-ish suspenseful music, but nothing really horror-related happens early on. It's just, like, amping everything up.
Yeah, I know that.
Because it's definitely more of, like, a tense, suspenseful film than anything.
Well, that, a penthouse through him.
Yeah. So he runs downstairs, and he goes to his apartment. Put question mark. I'm not exactly sure if it's his apartment. I think it is. I think it's an apartment. Yeah, because I think later on he meets some people. And he grabs a couple of books off the shelves. And there is records on this kid, on the kids. His naughty and nice list books. So he writes down for Moss that he has impure thoughts and negative body hygiene. I'm just like, what? Was this kid getting ready to wank it?
Nice these books were.
Oh, yeah. These fine, like, leather finish, satin and embossed and everything. Yeah, embroidered. Oh yeah, like I don't know what weirdo. I don't know who made these books for him, but I want to know why they didn't call the police on him too. But also back to Moss, I'm like, with his negative body hygiene, I'm like, what was the kid getting ready to wank it or something? I'm like, he looks a little young for that. I mean, I was into the titties early, but I didn't know that wanking it and everything.
I don't know. He had a stakeout for a couple of days and watching never took a shower.
Right. But for little sweet Susie Lovett, her entry is blank to start out, but he only writes down, "Just a darling," and closes the book and starts humming "Santa Claus is Coming to Town." And I'm like, seriously, can we call the police on this guy now? So we cut to a toy factory, the Jolly Dream, which is a Santa/Christmas themed toy factory. I'm like, Jolly Dream? Like how Santa was giving Harry's mom his Jolly Cream? Heyo! So Harry works here. I think he got suckered into working here by the holiday motif of the toy factory. And the toys on the assembly line here look a little cheap, even by today's standards. I know toys have kind of gotten a little cheaper over the years, and like back in the day, they were like much higher quality and even made of metal and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So Harry is telling his coworkers the same thing on their lunch break, and then good old, I don't know if I want to call him good old, but Frank the scumbag comes in, and he wants somebody to take his shift tonight so he can go leave early on a trip this weekend with his wife. And he also just takes asks for a bite of Harry's sandwich. We have our douchebag for the movie. What's next? Is this guy going to try to take his mother out and try to eat her out? I'm gonna keep revisiting that a lot. Get used to the Santa muff diving. That's gonna be a recurring theme. I've noticed a lot with a lot of my notes for these things. I like to take a joke and run with it and bury it into the ground. Just wait for the next week's episode.
Fair enough.
So we find out that Harry got promoted, but he misses actually doing the line work since he doesn't get to make the toys for the kids. So he's got promoted to a little bit more of a supervisor management role. Cut to Harry working in his office, and we got a poster of Santa behind him with Santa saying, "If it's not a jolly dream, it's not worth having." And I'm like, more like, it's not a jolly dream without Santa's jolly cream.
Okay.
Do I have any more?
I don't know.
Probably got some more.
Can you go any deeper, please?
Also, Santa's eyes look really sinister in this poster. Like he's like some evil fucker that wants to kill people. So it even zooms in on Santa's face with ominous music playing. Maybe it's a bit of a jab at the commercialization of Christmas. I don't know. I don't always read too deep into some of these subtext messages and satire in these films. I can sometimes pick them up when they're obvious, but other times I'm just watching a film to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So Frank calls up on the phone, and he couldn't find anyone else to take his shift, and remembered Harry misses the line so much. So he's going to do both of them a favor and let him work his shift. So Harry ends up going to the line and he has to work Frank's shift. So this one guy gives Harry a double take, like, what the hell is this guy doing down here? Because he's just in his normal suit, unlike the other guys who are in like their coveralls. Afterwards, Harry is walking home from work and he walks past a barbershop with the pole still swirling. I'm like, a late night barbershop? What the hell? I guess sometimes you need a late night haircut after a long day at work if you're working the day shift. So he also walks past a bar, the Odd Couple Lounge, as it's called, and he peers through the window. And what does he see? He sees Frank at the bar with other employees. Looks like the only thing he's getting a head start on is drinking. So he says he got that schmuck Harry to work for him. And this reminds me of all the assholes I work with who call off with bullshit excuses but are really out living up while I get stuck working over. Fucking bastards. You know who you are.
Not me.
Anyways, remember, if you want to help me quit my job so I don't have to put up with bullshit like that, you can support us on Patreon and listen to our ads. On that note, let's take a brief break for an ad. So we'll be right back after this sponsored message. And we're back.
Hey.
So after the bar scene, Harry runs off and we get some awesome looking weird angles and cuts and close-ups of the sidewalks as he's running away. So he gets back home. He's really pissed off. He grabs a doll from a dollhouse and starts humming Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I feel like this might be like, because obviously the lyrics to Santa Claus is Coming to Town is, you better watch out. You better not cry. So is this a reference to the title at the beginning? Because he keeps humming this song. So
he's mad.
And he ends up breaking the doll. Is this a bit of foreshadowing as to maybe what could happen to Frank? So we jumped outside his brother's house. Harry's watching through the windows as Phil is playing with the kids.
No, whoa. It's Philly.
Philly, yes. Well, that's what he called him when he was a kid. I think he just calls him Phil now that he's grown up. But They run off, and then his wife shows up for some sexy time. And we got more flashbacks to the Santa munching. I'm like, I feel like this guy has some repressed sexual urges here going on, too.
Yes.
And now we cut to Harry eating breakfast at his apartment. And he's watching the Thanksgiving Day parade, so time's moving fast here. So they announce Santa's appearance, so he puts down the bowl to watch Santa. He even kicks back his feet up and puts a pillow behind his head to fully enjoy the Santa experience. We then cut to Phil doing push-ups in his undies and his wife in her robe. And he's watching her lustfully and then stops doing push-ups. And she turns around and pulls back the bottom of the robe. And I gotta ask here, because this was more morbid curiosity than like any sexual arousal thing going on here. And I paused, and it's so hard because like it's hard to get the Tubi thing. When you pause, it brings up like the bar at the bottom and it kind of fades out the scene a little bit. I'm like, go away, I want to see this scene. Does she have no underwear on? And you see her like vagina? I swear, I think she is not wearing underwear. And you just see, well, I mean, there's bush, of course, but I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is one where I would need the DVD to confirm.
You
because
saw bush?
Yeah, it's really dark. It's shaded, so it's dark, But I'm pretty sure I'm like, I think there's her vagina there.
But
So
for me though, Phil, the actor, I know him. I remember him from. He looks a hell of a lot over when I saw him. When I first started watching these in the first, I think, and second, or just the first season of The Walking Dead. His name is Dale in it, so that's what I remembered him from. I'm like, this guy looks awfully.
Oh, really? That's the guy with the RV, right? Yeah. I've only watched the first season of The Walking Dead, and then I'm just like, what's this doing that George A. Romero couldn't do for me in 3 films?
I got a few.
Not counting the other sequels he put out for his Living Dead series.
But yeah.
That's interesting. So good for him. Good to see he's still doing stuff. So they're kissing, and she asks him to leave Harry alone today and not pick on him when he comes for dinner. So he argues with her, and they talk about how all he makes his mistakes, says he's lame. So they go downstairs with kids, and I don't know how I picked this up, but I guess Phil might be a repo man? I don't know how I picked that up from the conversation going on, but Harry calls, and he says he's not going to be able to make it. He's busy, and he turns up the TV to really get into the Santa parade going on. And then we get a montage of Harry, and he's making his own Santa costume. while some ominous piano score plays over the montage. And it's interspliced with scenes of shops in the city getting ready for Christmas time. And he starts, and he's painting a sleigh on his white van while a voiceover of him is going over his list of toys for the kids. Now, that sleigh's kind of important, because that came up in a bit of horror trivia we did the other day, and somebody didn't remember that.
We'll talk about this horror trivia extensively in a future podcast. So.
Remember, don't rag on fellow horror community commentators, and we shouldn't mention by name to protect their identities from your savageness. Then we get a random stinger cutting to him walking on the street with groceries. So hold up that Tempo magazine again. The kids are hanging out on the side of the street, and they say hi to him. And then he tells Susie she looks so beautiful. And I'm just like, all right, seriously, call the cops now. What are you waiting for? Him to sniff her? I don't know if that joke was in poor taste. Oh, man. But, or seriously, I mean, come on. This guy's got like Harvey Weinstein vibes, only with little, or maybe even more like Jeffrey Epstein. Who knows?
Yeah.
Some sort of pervert. So she stands up and curtsies. I'm like, how respectful. Today's kids could learn a thing or two on how to be respectful. You jerks, you gotta, learn to respect your elders. Kids these days, right? No? All right.
Those days?
Yeah. Kids had some class back then, not like the kids nowadays.
That kid right there is older than you.
True. So they ask him what he wished for today, and he says he wished he was super magic. Is that a bit of foreshadowing? So the other kids tell him what they would wish for. All good things except for good old Mas Garcia.
It seems like he could be kind of conniving. He said like he wanted. Did he say he wanted to be invisible or something and like do something to his classmates?
No, I don't remember that.
I swear, like
I think he just maybe superpowers. I don't know. I didn't write him down. They weren't that important.
Superpowers.
No. Anyway, so they all have good things except for Mas Garcia, who wishes for a lifetime subscription to Penthouse magazine.
What's wrong with that?
I'm just like, this kid. Also, just give him the internet and he'll be set. What you had to do for porn before the internet. So, back in his apartment, there's this weird Santa black and white picture on the wall that's really creepy. And he opens up the naughty list book, and then we cut to him running to Moss's house. So it's dark now. So inside he's playing with one of those crappy Jolly Dream toys. So Harry takes some, and it looks like tar is on the ground. I would think it's dirt, but it looks like this black tar. So I don't know, like, if it's some sort of landscaping tar or something.
It's supposed to be dirt, but it's just...
You know what I mean, though? It looks almost like a thick black tar. It doesn't look like mud. It almost looks black. And so he rubs it on his face, and I'm just like,
I just thought it was weird.
Yeah, also, like, it's not like he's trying to do blackface. It's just like, I don't think that's going to help you camouflage in there, buddy, if you're trying not to be seen. But he makes a mark of his handprints and lips on the side of Moss's house. So I don't know why he does that. I don't know if he's marking it for later. I don't think any revenge ever ends up coming to Moss. I think he might leave him like coal or dirt later, but we'll get to that.
I think it is a little bit of foreshadowing because I believe he leaves him dirt later.
Yeah. So him and his mom are leaving, and Harry hides in the bushes. Moss doesn't want to go. But then he hears a rustle in the bushes, so he ignores his mother's calls to get into the car, and he goes to investigate. He turns around when he gets to the bushes, and then Harry sticks his fist out in front of him, which scares Moss. And so he runs and he bumps into Mom. He tries to tell her, but she isn't having any of that shit, and she smacks him. He's like, the 80s, when you could still use corporal punishment on children.
I wrote down, he bitch slapped.
Bitch slapped him.
Here's a fun fact, though. The mom, Mrs. Garcia.
I think I know where you're going.
I didn't really see too much in the dark, but looking it up later on Wikipedia and whatnot, she actually is a pretty famous actress for most people's parts for the popular show Home Improvement. She was the mom in Home Improvement, Jill Taylor.
There you go.
I didn't catch it in the movie because she's in a lot of the scenes where it's dark. But
right. Well, there you go. Very interesting. So as they drive away, we get this weird, eerie music with horse noises. Question mark? As it focuses on the bush. So we cut back to Harry, and he's casting some metal for toy soldiers. And there are a bunch of creepy dolls in this little forge room he has. Some missing heads and limbs.
Yeah, that was weird.
I'm just like, are we sure this guy isn't Freddy Krueger? Can we seriously call the police? So he's proud of his soldier he made. He gives it a salute that bumps the hanging light lampshade above him. And then this creepy monkey doll hangs from it. And it's like making monkey noises. A lot of weird shit going on here. So then we cut to a close-up of a creepy Santa logo on the Jolly Dream Factory. And inside Harry is combing his hair in the locker room while ominous music plays. So looking in the mirror, he does the wink and nose move from Santa earlier with the same magical twinkle cue, that sound effect that comes up. Then he slams his locker and we jump to the Jolly Dream Christmas party. And on a TV at the party, Harry watches a company video telling them that the company is donating toys to a hospital. And the video is also asking the employees to help donate what they can. A guy tells him Frank is at the party, telling everyone he had a great time filling in for a shift. And Harry just walks away, and the guy says, hey, but then we cut back to them, and they were right next to each other talking again. I'm like, that's weird. I didn't think, it's a weird cut, because, like, he walks away and they're not talking, but then they cut back, and now they're talking again.
This scene, or some weird cinematography. They, like, keep zooming in on the mini bar.
Yeah, I still like the stuff. I think it's very stylish.
Yeah, but why? I don't understand.
I don't know.
He's like, this mini bar is very important.
I think I got some comments coming up here about that. He tells the guy that he has your guys' number now. The right tune. I've been trying to find the notes to it for as long as I can remember, and I found them. I can play the tune. It's going to be a bit of a recurring motif, this whole music and tune thing. And the guy just tells Harry he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So another bigwig comes over and introduces him to another new bigwig executive. And the other guy, Ben, tells him to tell them about his tune and then leaves. And the guy asks, what's his problem? And I'm just like, just jealous that you're one of us now, Harry, i.e. like management. So Harry asks about the film. Doesn't say how many toys they are donating, and asks if there will be enough for all the children. Because, he really cares about the children. So the new guy doesn't have the slightest idea. He says the company can't always shoulder the whole burden. And Harry quips, you mean you waiting for these guys to contribute? Referring to the employees. And the older of the two management guys responds, hey, you're one of us now. You gotta understand, it's just good business. And then the new guy says, it's a win-win for the business and the kids. Harry, he gets pissed off here, and he's like, Harry tells the new guy that he's worse than the old guy. The old guy doesn't even know why a tune has to be played. But you, new guy, actually know how to play it. And look what you're doing with it. A lot of weird, like the tune referring to, like, this charade that we go on in life and the roles we play. It's very deep. I kind of like it. This movie's really deep.
This movie is really psychological.
Yes, it's very stylistic. It's very psychological. It gets really deep. So Harry leaves, but this party is really about the booze, because we get multiple shots of drinks being poured haphazardly, as you referenced. Do I have more of it? Well, I'll just mention it now, but I think it's almost like another jab, not so much at the commercialism of Christmas, but almost like how it's just another excuse for people to just party and drink and forget their woes. And it's not even about the goodwill towards men. It's just like, how shit-faced can I get because it's a holiday? Another, perhaps losing the true meaning of Christmas. Maybe that's what it's going for there. So Harry heads to his office and grabs several sacks from his desk drawer, while more low, ominous humming music plays. So he goes to the line and starts putting the toys in the sack and takes them with him. We cut back to the party to pad the movie, with the drunken stupor intensifying. Plus some drunk guy falls into the record player and cuts the music out. So then Harry is outside and he's filling up a sack of dirt. And, come on, Harry, it's supposed to be a lump of coal, not dirt for the naughty kids. Jeez, first it's ha ha ha, and now this? This guy can't even but this guy can't even get being Santa right. So next, Harry is in his bathroom, and he's gluing on his Santa beard and starts laughing hysterically as he pulls on the beard, which is firmly stuck to his face. Then he says, it's me, and he's definitely off his rocker now. So we got some more filler. What's that?
Santa.
He is slowly becoming Santa. So we got some more filler here. We got Christmas tree and the city parade, a skating rink. Then we cut to Christmas Eve, and we know this because the movie tells us. Thanks, movie. Thanks, movie, for telling us. I wouldn't have been able to figure that out, especially since, we started at 55 days till Christmas. So, yeah. So Harry enters this living room holding a knife, but he just uses it to cut the twine on a stack of presents. So he tosses those gifts in the back of the pile and starts to put his homemade toy soldiers, dolls, nutcrackers, marionettes, etc. on top of the other presents and underneath the tree. So he stabs at some presents and cuts a Jolly Dream motorcycle toy package, pulls out the riders whose heads have come off and chuckles. Cheap toys. He tosses them behind the tree, and he takes a stack of gifts and leaves. Hey, they didn't leave him any bread, butter, milk, and a wash basin for him. What a bunch of slackers. Yeah. I think this might have been Phil's house.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
It was.
It never really says, and it's not really clear on the setting because it's dark, but I'm pretty sure that's why he went there first.
Yeah. I read that first somewhere.
So he pulls his Christmas sleigh van up to the Garcia house and leaves a whole sack of dirt for him. And I'm just thinking, I think he might actually like that. You know all the stuff you can make with that dirt in the backyard? Kids like to play with dirt. So next, he heads to the hospital from the video, and sleigh bells mixed with ominous music plus jingle bells are playing as he's pulling up. He gets out of the thing, and he's fully dressed in his Santa garb. So he carries his sack of presents to the delivery entrance and rings the bell. And then this old security guard comes out, and Harry says he has a delivery, I have toys for the children inside. And the guard accosts him and says, at this hour? What are you, a wacko? This guy doesn't know the half of it, but Harry responds, do I look like I'm joking? And the guard thinks he's crazy, but tells him he only has good intentions and gives him a gift to seal the deal. And I'm just like, no, the gift is not his Jolly Cream. I promise these are going to stop soon. They're not going to stop. I got more. Maybe. The guard goes inside. Harry's walking around saying Merry Christmas repeatedly and starts snowing. Like he almost wills it to snow. And then a doctor, so he's like practicing saying Merry Christmas again in his Santa voice. So a doctor and nurse come out and he wishes them a Merry Christmas. And they ask him who sent him, and he says, it's a very long story. And he opens up the back of his Christmas not rape van to reveal a ton of presents, because it looks like a rape van. It's just like blank white, but it's got like the sleigh paint on the side. So he opens up the back of the van to reveal a ton of presents, many with the Jolly Dream label on the box. And the staff is taken aback, and the doctor, he asks who donated all this. And Harry replies, some people who didn't realize how generous they could be. And he's laughing with joy. This movie, I'm going to comment about this now a little bit. This movie could almost be recut like a happy Christmas story if you recut it the right way. Because there is a lot of the spirit of giving in this movie. You could almost recut it with Harry trying to bring Santa to life, but, it's some random guy running around trying to be Santa Claus. You know how that goes today if you have some weirdo walking around. People are going to be suspicious. And you could almost recut it with him running afoul of the law. You'd have to cut out all the killing stuff that's going to be coming up, and maybe just make them simple assaults, like he pushes some people or punches some people that are, being Christmas Scrooge humbugs. But I really feel you could almost recut it that way. I feel like this movie does kind of, despite being fucked up in a lot of ways, has a Christmas spirit to it.
Well, I do. I'll have more of this in our.
Yeah, I have a lot about it in my closing. Spoiler alert now, my last bite might be a little long on this one, just because I got a lot to say, because this movie made me think a lot. So, the staff is filled with joy at this Christmas miracle, and one of the nurses kisses him on the cheek. They wish him a Merry Christmas, and he drives off. So he's driving along, proud of his accomplishment, but he thinks about the executives from Jolly Dream, and now he's angry, and he shakes his finger like, naughty, naughty. Now we have an establishing shot of a church, and the executives are inside for Christmas Mass, and Harry stops outside as the congregation lets out, and we get a close-up of a toy soldier with a rather sharp bayonet sticking out of his bag, and we get almost the cadence, the drum beat, the soldiers, playing their drums. I'm like, I'm sure that will have no importance to what's about to happen, we get some ominous music starts to play. So two couples are giving Harry a hard time, but he's more focused on his boss in the back of the crowd because he wants to get to him, So he grabs the toy soldier to pursue his boss, but is stopped by the two couples, the four of them, and he says, "I have something for you." So now we finally get kills number 1, 2, and 3. Harry has the toy soldier fix bayonets and charges it through the guy's eyeball. Then he pulls out a Yuletide decorated hatchet and smashes it into a guy and lady's skull repeatedly. The effects are okay, but the hatchet scenes are a little hokey with the quick cuts, just quick cutting back and forth. You don't really see it.
And
Yeah, they're a little hokey.
The director's cut.
Maybe it shows more of that. That could be.
And also, the blood looks like. Well, I mean, they really just show the hatchet, and it kind of looks like like paint.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a lot of quick cuts, making it very chaotic, and mainly just showing blood spurting out of the wound. Harry gets into the van and takes off. The other lady, who was crouched down, cowering, screams. So, how did Harry know the execs were going to be there? I know earlier I thought it said the execs were going to an island or something for Christmas. So I don't know if this is maybe in New York and it's supposed to be Long Island or Manhattan, or
maybe he knows from working there that
yeah, or maybe that's just their plans for Christmas vacation.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very confusing. So the executives look on, and you all right there? That Pepsi Nitro really had some nitro in it, huh? Yeah, don't get on my microphone, man. Those were time out. You can't time out. We're doing good on time here. We gotta keep going. Oh my goodness. See, I'm probably gonna lose you if you go too far away. Don't go far away. This episode isn't getting edited. Everything's staying in. We gotta get a quick turnaround. Unedited, live and unedited. All right. Just make sure your microphone's still in sync here. Make sure it's still connected. Does it say it's connected there? Hold on. Just all you gotta do is look, man.
Well, I'm gonna be sticky.
Just like Santa's Jolly Cream. You're all sticky icky over there.
Wi-Fi sim. Yeah,
it should be the little the chain link connected together right next to the microphone.
Yeah.
It's good. All right. Your voice might have drifted in and out when you walked over, but that's all right. Live and unedited. Anyways, now I gotta figure out where I left off. So the executives look on, and we pan around the carnage, with the toy soldier lying in the ground, blood in the snow, while creepy music plays, along with Christmas music being distorted, which I really like the distortion of this Christmas tune. I didn't write down what tune it was, but
you got it. You got the right tune.
That's right. Yeah, you're on the right
I
tune.
know your tune.
So the distorted music is coming from Harry's tape player, and he smacks it. Good old anything mechanical. Just give it a good bash. Not horror related, but props if you know what that line's from. I'm sure it's been in other things, but
We should have done with that microphone.
yeah, fucking just beat on this computer till it fucking works. So he's a little hyper now with his hands in the band, and he's frantically moving his hands all along the steering wheel like some sort of lunatic.
Just killed one.
Yeah. So he's a bit worked up. So he stops and gets out, and he walks past the Friends and Families Association building and looks inside at a Christmas party with people dancing. It looks a lot tamer than the other Christmas party. These seem to be good, respectable people. People who understand the true meaning of Christmas. So we notice a bunch of kids just sitting there, bored and sleeping, though, because it's a little more adulty of a party with, dancing and stuff going on. One of the guests sees Harry outside, dancing in the window to the music. And they go out to bring him in to join the party. And then there's a stinger for no reason, because Harry is surprised, I guess.
Or you think something bad might
Yeah, maybe. So the guests greet him, and he says, "Merry Christmas, everyone." And the children run up to greet him, because, they all like Santa. And I'm like, he's a pretty good Santa, but he needs to get that ho-ho-ho down. It's like if you ordered a knockoff talking Santo doll from Wish or AliExpress or something. So he gives them toys from his sack, while we cut back to the church where some detectives show up. And like I said, we find out we are in New York. So maybe it was Long Island. That was the island they were going to. You right over there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just checking.
All right.
I didn't get anything.
Okay. Where was I?
Manhattan.
He gives them... Yes, yeah, so we cut back to the church, find out in New York. So the one detective says, let me guess, everyone saw Santa Claus. So back at the party, everyone is having a good time as Harry dances with the guests and children. But seriously, last chance to get this guy away from children. And we also got this rocking polka band, too, playing here. But unfortunately, it's time Harry has to go. But before he does, he points to the kids and gives them a speech. I want you to remember to stay good boys and girls. Respect your mothers and fathers and do what they tell you. Obey your teachers and learn a whole lot. Now, if you do this, I'll make sure you get good presents from me every year. But if you're bad boys and girls, your name goes in the bad boys and girls book, and I'll bring you something horrible. It's the naughty list, Harry. Jeez, Harry, come on! You're halfway towards being sane and you keep fucking it up. Then there's this really awkward silence for a little bit, like everybody's like, "Oh, this is awkward." But
a mother, I think, or a lady, and she has a what the fuck look for a second, just for like a tiny second.
Right. After that, so it's followed by Harry starts laughing boisterously, and then the kids start laughing, and the adults start laughing a little bit. At least one lady looks around like, okay, this is a little weird. So then they have a toast to Santa. He wishes them a Merry Christmas and says, see you next year, and he takes off back into his van. So we got some more driving scenes, and he starts cracking an imaginary whip with the sound effect being played while calling out the reindeers' names. A nice little touch throughout this film with a lot of the musical and audio cues to a lot of, like I said, when it panned in on the toy soldier, it had like the little drum cadence going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nice little stuff like that. So, and we got some creepy piano score again. Dun, 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 dun. Man, I don't know what I really expected when I wrote down the word dun, 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 dun 4 times with the dot, dot, dot after each time. Like, I was really going to remember what that meant, like, what that sounded like.
Oh, boy.
So we flash back to Frank at the bar, and Harry growls. So we cut to him exiting the van with a sack and a ladder at Frank's house. So he tries to go through the chimney. Terrible idea, because he gets stuck.
I don't know.
And his suit might be starting to get dirty here. I know he used a darker fur for the trim, but it looks like it's starting to, get dirty, like as the day goes on, like he's starting to become Hobo Santa.
Fun fact of the film: they had 3 Santa suits for it. And by the end of the shooting, they were only left with 1 because 2 of them were stolen.
Oh wow! So he struggles, but he finally frees himself and sneaks in through an unlocked basement window instead. So he goes upstairs and he bumps a chair. Luckily, Frank and his wife must be heavy sleepers because they don't hear it. So he leaves some presents under the tree. The kids see him but duck away and back to bed before he turns around. So he goes into the master bedroom and hovers over Frank, telling him, you want it all, but you're not a child anymore. And Frank wakes up and befuddled calls out Harry's name, so he recognizes him. And Harry tells him, Merry Christmas, Frank. And we get cue number 4. Frank gets sacked. So Harry smothers Frank's face with his sack of toys and tries to suffocate him. His wife doesn't notice anything. Finally, Harry grabs the star from a little tree that's standing on the nightstand and lets Harry come up. Why did I keep writing Harry? Man, I must have been fucking up on this. So he lets Frank come up for some air, but he slices his throat with the star. Oh, also with the bag being on the face, I put down, that's what I call a tea bag. At least give him the old tea bag. Could have been Halo, now he's teabagging him? No? Alright. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking when I wrote that one down. I almost left it out, but I'm like, fuck it, it's in the notes, I'm saying it. Harry looks really deranged in this scene. Overall, a good performance by him in this movie. Now, which actor plays him? Because I don't think the actors are in the order when I wrote it. Is it Brandon Maggart?
Yeah.
That's the guy who plays him? Yeah, he does great performance in this. I think it's a standout performance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Frank falls on his wife, waking her as she struggles to speak. Harry's like, well, that's my cue to exit, and he takes off. So at the front door, Harry sees the kids come out of their room. He pauses to admire them as they laugh, but then the wife finally screams, and he's like, holy shit, and he's a little shocked, and he hurries out the front door and gets in his van and drives away. So now we jump to Christmas Day. Thanks, title cards, for letting me know. And inside Phil's house, the kids are watching TV after opening their presents. It looks like they got a keyboard for a Commodore 64. No wonder it looks like Harry's toys were untouched under the tree. So Phil is worried, because Harry is always there on Christmas Day. And we get an exposition news bulletin breaking in with Walmart brand Geraldo Rivera talking about the murders at the church and at Frank's place. And doesn't the guy look a lot like Geraldo Rivera?
Yeah, here we go. Fun fact. The guy's name in the film is Ricardo Obama.
Okay.
Obama. And he actually is based on Gerardo Rivera.
Geraldo.
What? Yeah, Geraldo.
Geraldo. The G's silent.
Yeah,
Geraldo.
I'm
You
sorry.
get my man. You gotta speak your Spanish.
But at that time, when this was filmed, he wasn't a big name.
Yeah, he's still kind of a local guy.
He was a local guy on the East Coast. But,
And then he started becoming bigger and then got to...
But this guy is supposed to...
there you go. And, well, I don't have it in my notes, but I can't help but feel that knockoff Geraldo Rivera here has a better mustache than Scary Perry.
You know,
sooner or later, I'm going to get some clips side by side with you and...
You know what? My mustache gone through a lot. Hurting my feelings right now, and I think I'm going to...
I'm sorry. Oh, you're going to cry? Just remember, I could get Scary Pot. He doesn't have a mustache.
J-Bones.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of J-Bones and fucking Delores, where the fuck are... Jesus Christ. We've been waiting here forever, and our fucking dishes are still on the fucking table from last time. This bitch has not come to and cleaned her table and bust her table. What the fuck? That tip is going down by the minute. Meanwhile, Phil's wife, she tries to stick up for Harry. You know, because she sees the good in him, and, like, you know, he's just a little off. Nothing quite wrong with him. And the kids have a Santa versus no Santa debate, just like Harry and Phil. And I'm like, is this Silent Night, Deadly Night, Christmas Evil 2 baiting? I was put down, so technically... technically. Okay. So...
Hold on one second.
What do you mean, hold on one second?
How many times do they show this knockoff Geraldo?
I don't know. Is that really that important?
What I was going to say is that I have another trivia.
You and your random internet facts.
The children's hospital and the news report about it were based on the real life, because I think he must have cut it on the children's hospital, and they showed a clip of it in this movie. It's based on the real life Willowbrook State School in New York, where children were kept in deplorable conditions for years until Geraldo Rivera exposed the pitiable state of the hospital, which led to its subsequent closure 15 years later. The expose was called Willowbrook, the Last Great Disgrace, 1972, and this earned Rivera a Peabody. So wait, you're on the lines of, like, you know, maybe they added that, like, you know, that's why they put him in there, because, you know, he did, you know, because something good, because, you know, there's right and wrong in the movie, you know how the children. Okay.
All right.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera.
I'll take it or leave it.
Fake mustache.
All right. So back to this kid's Santa versus no Santa debate. And well, technically, Santa did exist. So I'm sure many people are familiar with Nicholas Sinterklaas, I believe it is, and eventually became, of course, Saint Nicholas. So Santa Claus did exist as a real person, just, you know, not in the way that is portrayed to children today. So to all those people who say Santa doesn't exist, well, technically he did exist. I believe it was Sinterklaas is the proper pronunciation. I'm not sure of the spelling. I always remember that...
Does Geraldo Rivera exist?
Yes, he does. For now. Till Harry gets him. Anyways, so Dean, the person who plays the voice of Dean Venture on the Venture Brothers, he has the last name Sinterklaas, which is the original spelling of you know, Santa, Saint Nick. So yeah, you can look it up. I'm pretty sure I'm not just spouting shit out my ass. I don't look up information in internet facts. But anyways, back to the conversation of wife and Phil. They continue to argue. He thinks something is wrong, and he yells at the kids to turn the TV down. and he tells her he wanted to be a good older brother or
They were
younger
watching
brother.
on TV.
He wanted a good older brother, someone to look up to, but his is an emotional cripple, and he is his keeper, and he's responsible for everything he does.
Do you know what they were watching? The kids were watching on TV on this.
No, what were they
They
watching?
were watching the Laurel and Hardy version of Babes
Babes in Toyland.
Yeah.
I thought it was Babes in Toyland. I didn't know which one. But then, he turns and apologizes to his son because he didn't really, want to yell at him. It wasn't the son's fault. He was just emotional. So back in the Christmas rape van, Harry wakes up and he's covered the van with a canvas to hide the sleigh. And his suit is starting to get dirty here. And he's back at the toy factory.
Because they only had one.
And he starts breaking all the cheap toys and turns on the conveyor belts. And the toys fall off and break. And he stands on the scaffolding, proud of his work and destruction of this shoddy commercialization of Christmas. Next, we cut to the police station where they have a line of Santas. And the one detective gives some backstory on Santa and about how the Dutch brought it over. And I'm just like, dude, buddy, I just covered this about talking about Senator Lockless a little bit earlier. Get with the memo, buddy. The one detective says maybe it's a good thing, and it might scare the kids straight, and if they're bad, they'll think Santa will kill them. I'm like, that's a little dark. And the other cop tells him, you're a real philosopher, you know that? I find that really funny. They can't figure out the connection, though, between the church murders and Frank's murder. And they say he's got a hit list, but the one cop quips he's got a gift list and starts singing Santa Claus is coming to town. Constant recurring theme. See, maybe that's the tune they're all playing. Tune is Santa Claus is coming to town. You better watch out. Better not cry. You keep going back to Geraldo. That would be a good Halloween costume for you. With that mustache, Geraldo Rivera. Yeah, he's still alive.
He did the thing. Oh, never mind.
The thing?
That's a different tune.
Okay. After that, then a guy looking at the lineup burst out and says Santa's suit had dark fur, which is true. Harry's suit did have dark fur, so that's the hint there. So back at Phil's, the phone rings, and Phil answers, and it's Harry on the other end of the line. And they begin this real strange conversation. So Phil yells at his wife to get off the line because she's trying to listen in. Harry tells him, you always worry about me, don't you, Phil? And Phil replies, I waited all day to hear from you. He said he was sick to his stomach. Harry says, but you should be proud of me. I did what you always wanted me to. And he says, I finally found the right notes. I can play the tune now. And then Phil's just like, what the fuck? Like, what tune? It's like, and Harry's like, the tune everyone dances to, even you, Phil. It's my version, but it works. So it's almost like the tune is like how you go about living your life and are, I don't know, like you feel like how your routine that gets you through the day and, convinces you to keep on going and, doing what you're doing, I guess. It's your own tune, but you have to learn it and play it. I don't know. This movie gets really deep. It's too smart for me, I think.
One day special edition if the director commentates on.
Who knows? So, but Phil quips back and says, when you do come over, we're going to have this out once and for all. Harry says the difference between us was that I always remembered everything. And Phil says that you aren't going to make me feel guilty anymore. Harry, looking in the mirror, says, Phil, I once read a poem that said every time you shave, you see yourself one day closer to dying. Just a bit kind of morbid there. And then we get an odd chime of music playing, and he's like, I'm going to play my tune now. Everyone will dance. You'll see. You don't have to worry about me anymore. And Phil's just like, what goddamn tune, Harry? And then Harry just drops the phone and leaves Phil hanging there. So he gets back in the van, and he's whipping those imaginary reindeer again, but he gets it stuck in a snowbank. So he gets out, and the street is lined with glowing decorations. Got, snowman, the glowing snowman decoration, sleighs, etc. And Harry, as he's walking down the street, he's tickled pink at this. And he's wandering down an alley, and we get a shot of the full moon. Is he going to turn into a werewolf here? No, wrong movie. Man, is there a Christmas werewolf movie? That would be fucking awesome. Somebody get on that. So we got a bunch of kids, or if you do know of a Christmas werewolf movie, let us know. Maybe we'll review it. So a bunch of kids rush Santa, and they thank him for the presents. And they say his suit is dirty. And Santa's like, There's a lot of pollution between here and the North Pole. Oh, good quip there. And the parents are freaking out because of the news report, and they think he may be the Santa killer. And I'm like, he's probably okay. I heard the killer was in Burley. I said, I heard the killer was in Burley. Burley? Oh, man. Tales from the Crypt, the Burley Observer? You really don't remember that? Oh, you're terrible. Great, because I wrote another Burley reference into my next the next notes too for the next film we're going to cover. Because it's callback, man. People like their callbacks.
Jump the shark.
I didn't jump the shark. Fonzie jumped the shark. Hey. Well, that was another thing we didn't talk about. The new Scream. Haven't seen it yet, so
Saw a little bit of the beginning.
I've heard decent things about it, so I'm going to give it a shot. I'm waiting for it to come out on physical media, and I'll pick it up because I'm not buying a streaming site or trying to do a trial and then forget to unsubscribe from the trial. All that stuff. So there's this tense standoff between Harry with the kids who are standing by him and the parents who are on the other side of the alley. And he knows they know. And he does some panicked shifty eyes. But he gives the kids some presents. So one of the dads steps forward and opens a switchblade and we get a stinger. One of the others holds him back, worried that it'll hurt the kids and they're, not 100% sure that it's the killer Santa. But the guy with the switchblade quips, it's like, not sure my ass. He recognizes the fur, and the kids huddle around Harry to protect him. He approaches, but Harry tells him to not come any closer. These kids know things that you don't understand anymore. They love me. They want someone to notice who's good and bad, and guide them and take responsibility so they don't have to make that decision themselves. Another pretty deep thing there. The dad says, get away or I'll rip your guts out. And the little girl says, no, and runs forward and beats her fists on her daddy. Just beating on his legs with her little fists. So the wife runs forward and says, don't hurt their daughter, and bumps the dad, and he drops a switchblade. So he pushes the wife aside, but the girl grabs the knife and she gives it to Harry. So Santa makes a run for it, but Dad grabs him, and Harry ends up stabbing him in the struggle. He waves the knife at him just long enough to make sure he doesn't pursue. Then he drops it and runs for his life. But not before a lady stabs him with her brooch/corsage that she has. So now Harry's, like I said, he's running for his life as an angry mob forms to pursue him, complete with torches, Frankenstein style. Sound effects as they raise the torches. We get almost this run sound effect. I really enjoyed it in there. I'm not exactly sure what I was going for in my notes for how it sounded, but he eventually makes it to his van, and he gets in unstuck and drives away. And so he makes it to Phil's house. So Phil lets him in, and he sees him dressed as Santa. He's like, oh my god, I knew it was you. Harry says to Phil that I failed you. Or I failed. You were right, Phil. I'm a failure. Phil brings him in, asks him how many people he's killed. Harry responds that they have rejected my tune. The kids and wife appear. They say, don't hurt Uncle Harry. Phil tells his wife to get them upstairs. They go into the living room, and Harry, he doesn't understand. They don't want Santa Claus, he says. So, kind of almost like the death of traditional Christmas there. The wife comes down, and she's eavesdropping. So Phil tells Harry he's insane, but Harry says that Phil was the first one who didn't want Santa Claus. Harry wanted all his life to prove to Phil that he was wrong. And Phil's just like, I was 6 years old. So Harry says, you never did believe in me, because now he thinks he is Santa. And I'm just like, not with that lame ho ho ho. So Phil loses it and starts choking Harry. And his wife pleads with him, but eventually Harry collapses. Unconscious? ... Or dead? ? So Phil panics, and he picks up Harry and drags him outside and puts him in a van, and back in the van. So Harry comes to, though, and he cold cocks Phil right in the face and drives off. So Phil runs after him, and then the mob also shows up and blocks his path, so he turns. So he ends up breaking through the fencing on the side of a bridge, and here's where the film just goes completely off the rails into crazy town.
It goes off the rails.
So Phil tumbles down the side of the embankment, and then he looks up in amazement. And the van takes flight like Santa's sleigh, and Harry looks shocked. It flies off towards the moon as the rest of the story, all through the house, is read as this surreal music plays. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." And that's the end of the movie, and it rolls credits. However, now did he really become Santa? Was he chosen by some divine or magical force to be Santa? Or, I've heard another theory, or is this just like the last thoughts of his brain as it's dying from him being strangled, as, oxygen's being severed to the brain, and, as your brain's firing its last few synapses, it's just grasping at whatever? We may never know.
I heard that.
Unless you listen to the director commentary, maybe he tells you.
Yeah, I heard that some people believe that they hear a crash, but they say that could just be Phil banging something when he's sliding on the hill.
Yeah. Well, also, there's probably an effect of when it hits the railing and makes a noise, maybe.
Yeah.
But I like to think he truly became Santa Claus, despite all... Because the people who died, they probably deserved it. They were assholes, They deserve their comeuppance. So, you got anything before we head to our last bite? I know I could use a refill for my Pepsi from Delores. See, that's why your Pepsi Nitro exploded like a fucking can of nitro gasoline or something. Fucking Delores shook it up on you.
Bitch.
What a bitch.
Let's see here. Just some
I don't know either, Harry.
some tidbits. So a lot of the snow in the movie was probably the falling snow was cut up pieces of plastic bags.
I didn't remember reading that.
So the director, Lewis Jackson, he came up with the idea of this movie. He was smoking weed sometime in the early 70s.
Imagine that.
And he saw a vision of Santa holding a knife. And all that decor, Christmas decor we see in his house, Harry's house, that is the director's that he obtained over years. And let's see. Did you say there was also another title for the movie? It could be called Tear and
Oh, yes, I did not mention that one. But yes, Terror in Toyland.
Yes.
I did remember reading that.
I think this, I don't know if this was the budget. It's weird on IMDb. I think the movie cost $850,000 to make. It doesn't say how much it made.
Hey, a low budget horror movie for a low budget podcast.
Correct, though.
All right. So, did you have anything to say about a specific actor in this, or not yet? Not yet? Or you want to save it?
Yeah. Also, another thing.
Okay.
The guy who his name eludes us.
Played the guy who
played Harry.
Brandon Maggart. How you pronounce it?
He has a pretty famous daughter, singer Fiona Apple. Fiona Apple is his daughter, and Mauve,
there you go.
MAUV.
What's that?
And Mauve, he has another daughter. She's not as popular as Fiona.
Gotcha. So with that, let's proceed to the last bite. Christmas Evil is certainly a strange film, and it's kind of hard to categorize. While it generally gets lumped in as a slasher, it takes well over half the film before anyone actually dies in it, making this classification a little off. Heck, it's even hard to classify it as a horror movie. What it is, though, is an interesting character study into how childhood trauma stunted a man's mental development, forever scarring him. Brandon Maggart's portrayal of Harry is fantastic. He does a great job of showing us that Harry never quite grew up, which makes him have a strange obsession with Christmas and children that borders on unhealthy. Despite these flaws, I think he is still a good-natured, caring man who eventually gets pushed too far by people taking advantage of his good nature, which took a man teetering on the brink of snapping and pushed him over the edge. This forces him to become the physical embodiment of Santa, to try and bring back the true spirit of Christmas to the world, while also giving those that took advantage of him and others what they deserve, even if his revenge goes against Christian morals. While the movie is slow-paced, I don't feel it is ever boring as you watch this strange case unfold before you. I enjoy how the score helps to enhance the strangeness of this film with the odd music and well-placed sound effects, with such things as imaginary reins cracking and drums for the toy soldiers. It all culminates in a ridiculous finale that is very open to interpretation. As for the film's effects, they're passable and nothing spectacular. which I suppose they don't need to be given there are hardly any gore scenes in it. However, I do enjoy the obvious the van miniature taking flight in the end for whatever reason. While I'm never one to get overly involved in the satire or social commentary of films, I do feel the film does take jabs at the commercialization of Christmas, using the shoddy toys to make a quick buck and convince parents to buy this mass-produced garbage for their kids over and over again. In a way, I feel bad for Harry because of this. While he is clearly a flawed and broken man, he isn't wrong about his views on toys and about people losing sight of the true meaning of Christmas, even if some of his tunes aren't exactly the right way of going about it. He holds Santa in the highest regard as this righteous, noble, and giving figure that we should all strive to be more like. And going into this Christmas, well, this was supposed to be going into Christmas, but Christmas in April, maybe we'll start a new thing. I can't help but feel like we'll just listen to this at Christmas time. So going into this future upcoming Christmas, several months from now, I can't help but feel like we could learn something from Harry here, and try to be better as human beings to each other, and strive for that goodwill towards man and spread that holiday cheer. Plus, it may help someone just like Harry keep from going off the deep end and going on a killing spree. Overall, Christmas Evil is certainly a strange, quirky movie that you could definitely get a few laughs out of as a horror film that's sort of so bad it's good as you watch this strange guy go crazy. But it's also a film that has deeper meaning in that you can analyze its themes, and that really makes you think. Judging by this length of this last bite, certainly probably the lengthiest one I've done so far, you can tell that on my second watching this, it certainly made me do some deep thinking. I don't think it's quite worthy of being considered a true classic, and I definitely don't like it as much and think it's inferior to the funner Silent Night, Deadly Night as a killer Santa flick, but I feel it definitely deserves its cult reputation, and I could definitely see myself giving it a higher rating as I watch it more and more and truly enjoy it. So overall, for right now, I give it 3 pancakes, although I highly suspect after repeat viewings with how absurd, how deep it is, and just how thoroughly enthralling it is when you're watching it, it's like a train wreck you can't look away from, I could easily see myself taking it up to 3.5 pancakes, and like I said, if not 4. So I definitely recommend it though, so it's definitely worth checking out even if you only watch it once and it's not your taste. And with that, on to my co-host, Scary Perry. What is your last bite?
All right, just like to throw these out, a couple quick things, what the critics say, which doesn't really matter. 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5 point.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's certified fresh. 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb. So going into the movie, I thought it started off well. Okay, I'm thinking like this is going to be a full-on slasher movie, like even from the beginning, even though the weird, carpet munching going on, and he gets cut, and then it fast forward, and he's like a middle-aged dude obsessed with Christmas. I'm like, well, this is odd, and then he's like a creeper extraordinaire, but like besides how it started, it's just like. And after me, so I've watched this basically twice, and it's interesting. I wouldn't if somebody said this is a slasher movie, I wouldn't say no. Do not watch this unless for some reason that Unconversion has that. But that's only like one scene, or there's like 2 scenes.
Yeah, it's like 6 more minutes.
Yeah,
6 to 8 minutes.
That's the church and then whatnot, but at the guy's house. But anywho, it is definitely more psychological. It's deep. You gotta think a lot on this, and but it's good. The acting of the guy's name that keeps eluding me, which we'll get to. Brandon Maggart was actually I just thought it was amazing. He did a good job. Like you could even see him, like he really put into it when he glued the Santa based on that he thought he was really Santa, and then it was conflicting at times because you think he's like the bad guy, but then he does all this, he does this good stuff. he goes to the children's hospital and he gives them all these gifts, and then he goes to that party, and he gives some of those children gifts, and he has a serious speech. I guess he knows the tune there. But there's also, I love the movie, even though the bar scene was weird. Cinematography in this movie and the different shots I thought was really good. Sound effects were good. The visuals were awesome. I read somewhere that Thanksgiving Day parade on TV was actually filmed for the movie. So I don't know. That's where I read. So the one scene where he gets out of the car and he's on the street with the van, the rape van, the street. It's all with the lit up reindeers. That shot was really cool. I just thought that was really neat. And I want to say, like, put it all together. I find this movie, like you said, it might need a few watchings to be good. I'm not going to say to somebody, just don't watch this the first time, because it is entertainment, and it is very entertaining. Yes, I think there's a lot more to it, and like you, I am giving it 3 cannolis, also, and I think this movie it would never go down; it could only go up. I know director John Waters highly praises this as the best Christmas horror movie that there is. I mean, granted, I haven't seen many.
Well, go ahead.
Many others, and I mean, for what I watched, I understand. So it's almost not. See, it's to me, it's almost not a horror movie, because there's certain scenes.
Yeah, it's
there's
kind
a lot
of like a thriller.
In it.
Yeah,
it's like a big theme of the movie. There's goodwill to your fellow man or in woman, and it's just
right.
Almost knocked over something again.
Jeez.
Night show, man.
Jeez, Dolores, you'll have to get the mop out by the time this kid's done.
But
that brings me to the other point.
I know I'm staggered with this review, but just let me go.
Sure.
But in summation, I like it. I recommend somebody watch it, and then maybe they're interested enough to, deep dive into it more for its deep levels of psychological content. But yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 3 cannolis, and I look forward to, again, not necessarily every Christmas, but watching this movie again, maybe seeing the director's cut, and then seeing commentary, learning more about it, because it's not that bad a movie. So
yeah. So the podcast that I was telling you for the description, I believe it's called With Gorley and Rust, and I believe they review like slasher movies and stuff like that. So perhaps the title of the Lawrence of Arabia of Christmas slasher movies or Christmas horror films is well deserved, because it is very stylistic, like a Lawrence of Arabia. Probably not that quite as stylistic as that film is, because that film's very impressive. I haven't seen the whole thing, but the shots I have seen, and I know of its reputation for how impressive it is, but compared to something like Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is just pure camp slasher fun, but done well, and a movie I probably enjoy more than this, just because I enjoy campy, fun, stupid films like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, overall, very impressed with this film, and like I said, I could easily bump this up to a 4.
It's very different, and that's not a bad.
Correct. All right, well, I think that kind of wraps it up for this. So, you got anything else before we sign off here?
I got nothing on. I'm just
all right.
Looking forward to watching some more movies.
Yep, getting back in the swing of things. So hopefully we'll try to catch up. We're going to try and get into some of our April planned episodes. We had to abandon, like I said, any plans for February. Unfortunately, May isn't going to happen this year because, well, we have to plan around when Friday the 13th falls, and, well, it happens to fall in May. So we're going to try and knock out 2 Friday the 13ths. Give you guys an upcoming hint of the May episodes, but we might actually try to jam out 3 episodes in April, get the 2 planned ones caught up, and then maybe get 1 April episode out. I don't think we'll be able to get the 2nd April episode planned. But for our next episode, you could have actually voted for the episode, and you could have done that on Patreon. However, I didn't want to make it exclusive to Patreon just yet, so I'm going to work on doing a better Facebook voting system, because I think like a lot of people have you vote using the like emojis.
Yeah.
Like, different like. I think I'm going to do it that way, because it's very hard to get a poll straight on Facebook for everybody to see. But essentially, any vote on the Facebook would be counted as one. But if you're a Patreon subscriber, you get double votes. And eventually we will have Patreon exclusive polls that, not yet. Like I said, I don't want to close off anything, and I don't want to be like, you gotta give me your money, sign up for the Patreon, or else you don't get a vote. But sooner or later, I want to, do some more exclusives for the patrons. So with that, I think that wraps up our review of Christmas Evil. Join us next time, like I said, for the episode that you could have voted for. We're behind, so this would have been our New Year's Eve episode. So join us next time when David Copperfield sticks a cigarette through a quarter. How do you do that? Join us next week and maybe we'll find out. Next week? Join us next episode and maybe we'll find out. Until then, check please. Delores!
The International House of Horror.